There's no time to explain. These are the cards we're going to be playing with. Let's take a look. How's it going? So, these are the last cards to be revealed for Dominaria United. We're going to go over all the standard cards, and this is what you're going to be playing with for the next 2 years. First up, you have Silverback Elder. This card is really interesting. I saw this get posted to a Discord that I'm in. Some people were even saying that this might even be better than a couple of the other options that we're currently playing with. Like, say, what's his name? The War Chief, the Workshop War Chief. I don't agree with this. I think the Workshop War Chief and Silverback Elder belong in 2 different decks. War Chief is a card that I almost never play without its blitz cost. Like just the fact that you get a 5/3 trampling haster and then a 4/4 after that, that fits a much different dynamic than what the Silverback Elder is going for. But let's take a look at it. It is 2 mana and 3 green. It's an Ape Shaman. It's a 5/7. And its text is, whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or gain 4 life. Here's a couple things to consider. One is, it does not say choose 1 like once per turn, kind of like Gallo Greeters. Gallo Greeters, you have to like cycle through all of the options as you're playing creatures. This guy just allows you to choose the same thing over and over and over if you wanted to. So if you're playing like some kind of like, well, not necessarily tokens, because you need to actually cast the creature card. You can't just like spawn in a bunch of dudes and get a bunch of effects. So there is a little bit of a drawback there, but you can just start punishing enchantment-based decks, like the Selesny Enchantments deck. I think the best usage of this card, though, is probably the look at the top 5 cards ability. Like just being able to dig deeper into your deck whenever you cast a dude. It's pretty strong. But the fact that it's just a 5/7 with no like active keywords, it doesn't have any form of evasion, doesn't have trample, or vigilance or anything like that, that kind of sets it down a little bit for me. Don't get it twisted, though. It is a good card, but I think the other options that we have in Standard at the moment might edge this one out. Cool card, though. I like the concept. Moving on. Next is Joda the Unifier. He costs Domain, which is Wooburg, and you have a 5/5 Legendary Human Wizard. His text is, legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. This frightens me in only one way, and that's the second part of its text. It's basically Cascade without it saying that it's Cascade. And anyone that had played during the Shards of Alara block of Standard, you'll know exactly why I'd be afraid of this. It is a dirty mechanic. Is being able to flip over cards until you find something that costs cheaper and then just cast it for free. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. But the first part of it says legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So he's basically a coat of arms for legendary creatures. That part is not going to be nearly as relevant as the second part. The second part, being able to just cascade whenever you cast a legendary spell, that's pretty strong. It'd be interesting to see if Domain becomes a strong enough deck. This might even be a role player in that deck. So, could be interesting. Next up, we have Urza Assembles the Titans. 5 mana. It's 3 and 2 white. It is a saga. It has read ahead. And part 1 is Scry 4. Then you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a Planeswalker card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Part 2 is you may put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. And I don't believe we have any Planeswalkers in Standard that cost more than 6. And after rotation, I think the only 6 cost one is going to be Vivian on the Hunt. Part 3. You may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice this turn rather than only once. Cool effect. I don't see this being quite that great though. Yes, you can trigger abilities twice, but only for that turn because the saga itself will get sacrificed after this effect goes off. So if you don't still have that that planeswalker in play after the second turn of the saga, then this extra part is kind of nullified. But you can play in another way. You can play as read ahead on the second part of the saga to just put a dude into play. But honestly, at that point, you're kind of 2-for-1ing yourself with that. With just the hopes that you'll be able to get the third part next turn. But that is asking a lot in a game of Magic where removal is rampant. So that's you're kind of putting all your eggs into one basket with this card. I'm not a big fan of it. I think we'll be putting our efforts elsewhere. Next up, we have Academy Loremaster. It is a 2/3 for double blue. It is a human wizard, so it's a little cost prohibitive in the double blue there. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player may draw an additional card. If they do, spells they cast this turn cost 2 more to cast. That's very nice. I like that a lot. It's interesting because it's kind of like a Howling Mine effect on a stick. So there's ups and downs to that. If you were to just cast Howling Mine, well, then you just have an artifact that does that, but it doesn't give that tax. The other side of this double-edged sword is the fact that this is a creature. You can put that into play, and your opponent can just wait for them to get their free card, and then blow this dude up so you never get any value off of it. And we're coming into a format with a lot of ways to deal 3 damage to a unit very easily. We're even getting another new removal spell that does 3 damage to anything. I forget the name at the moment, but it's 1 in red, deal 3 to anything. And everyone's going to be playing it because it's going to be the replacement of... oh god, what was the name of the card? That Royal Blast card from Zendikar, because that's moving out, so we need a new one. But for this one, it's cute. I don't think I'll be playing it myself, though. I think I'd rather play just a divination over this, honestly. Moving on, we have the Shadow Rite Priest, the guy with the big dome. He's a 2/2 for 2. Human cleric. Other clerics you control get +1/+1. And 3 and double black. Tap, sacrifice another cleric, so you cannot sacrifice him to do this. Search your library for a black creature card. Put that onto the battlefield, then shuffle. That is a very powerful effect. And honestly, you don't really need to jam-pack that many clerics into your deck. You don't have to go full tribal to get this to go off, which is beneficial. I do not like the fact that you need to sacrifice a different cleric, that you can't sacrifice this guy. But I guess it's kind of like part of the fact that he taps to do all this stuff. But yeah, just being able to search out like a Sheldred, a Braids, any big beater black card. Go get Junji, go get Beat Down Heavy, or Shake Down Heavy, I mean. There are a lot of solid black options, and you can put it directly into play. Good thing to note, though, is this is not a sorcery effect. It does not say use this ability as a sorcery. So if you wanted to, you can go get something that has flash. More on that later. Moving on. We have the Cruelty of Gixx. It's another saga. It's 3 and 2 black. It's got read ahead, like all the sagas do in this set. 1, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker card from among it. That player discards that card. Part 2, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle, you lose 3 life. Okay, so it's a tutor effect, and you can skip forward to the tutor part. And honestly, we haven't had any really decent tutor-style cards in Standard in a while. So this might be okay. And part 3, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. I like it. And I like it because it says a graveyard, not your graveyard. So this card's amazing. And it's amazing because unlike a lot of the other sagas that you kind of want to read ahead for, I would use this without even reading ahead. Like I would just use all three parts of this. You get hand disruption, you get a tutor, and you get graveyard resurrection. Those are three very powerful effects, and all things that a slower to mid-range or control black deck wants to have. And if you are in a pinch and you need that extra card right now, or you need that graveyard effect right now, you can just read ahead and get it done. That's a damn good card. I like it a lot. Yeah, I think I might even be playing that. Next up is one of my favorite cards of the entire set, and is Ertay Resurrected. For 2 and a blue and a black, you get a legendary creature, Phyrexian Human Wizard. It's got flash. It's a 3/2. The body is not that important. This could be a 1/1 for all I care. But it's flash. When Ertay Resurrected enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell. Its activated counter target spell and activated ability or triggered ability. Its controller draws a card. Or destroy another target creature or planeswalker, its controller draws a card. So you do have a slight drawback with the fact that your opponent draws a card, so they replace what you countered. But it's got flash and it's got mad versatility. And it's just what blue-black wants. You got the black part for killing stuff, you got the blue part for countering stuff. This is probably my favorite card in the entire set, just because it has crazy versatility. I would probably run exactly 2 of this in my Esper deck. I mean, this is just slots right in. I'm going to be playing a lot of this card and making a lot of people very upset. So yeah, good card. Next up, Prayer of Binding. 3 colorless, 1 white. It's an enchantment with flash. When Prayer of Binding enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Prayer of Binding leaves the battlefield. You gain 2 life. Okay, so this is basically Faith's Fetters with flash, but you gain 2 less life than Faith's Fetters. So you do get a little bit extra, a little bit less life gain actually, but the fact that it is flash puts this above pretty much any of the other Oblivion Ring style effects that I would want to play in this card spot. I would probably play this as maybe a 1 or 2 of in the main board and 2 more in the sideboard. This is a very good card, and I think you'll be seeing a lot of it coming up. Next up, we have Combat Research. For 1 blue, you get an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Okay, that's awesome right there. As long as enchanted creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and ward 1. That's all relevant, especially with all the legendary creatures that we're going to be playing with. And for just a single blue, I mean, you get to turn any creature into a Shadow Mage Infiltrator. Just draw a card whenever it hits, or a Thieving Magpie if that's a little more recent for you. Yeah, that's honestly just a pretty damn good blue uncommon. Not bad at all. Next up, we have Ertay's Scorn. For 1 and 2 blue, you have an instant. This spell costs 1 blue less to cast if an opponent casts 2 or more spells this turn. Counter target spell. Okay, so this is either cancel or counter spell, depending on what your opponent's doing. You let the first spell go through, which a lot of the times, if your opponent knows you're playing a counter-heavy deck, they're going to start like throwing out just random nonsense ahead to try and bait out your counter spells. And then they'll play what actually matters the second time, so you very likely will get that discount pretty often. That's pretty good. I would probably use this instead of Disdainful Stroke. Yeah, I would probably drop Disdainful Stroke for Ertay's Scorn. It's just a slightly more versatile card in the fact that you can counter any spell, not just something that costs 4 or more. So, yeah, I'm into it. I like that card a lot. Knight of Dusk's Shadow is a black. It's got 1 in black, 2/2, menace. Your opponents can't gain life. That's not going to be nearly as relevant, I think, because a big chunk of like the life gain decks are kind of phasing out. But you could see some play in some sideboard options. Second ability is 1 in a black, Knight of Dusk's Shadow, gets +1/+1 to win a turn. Not bad. So it's kind of reminiscent of the old Black Knight or Knight of Dusk from years past. It's got a quasi evasion and menace, stops your opponents from gaining life, and you can pump it if you need to later in the game. Yeah, not bad. I like it. Not a bad uncommon. Next up, Argivian Phalanx. It's a 5 and a white. That already is giving me red flags. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control, and it has Vigilance. It is a 4/4 Vigilance that costs just a little bit less if you have creatures. I wouldn't be playing this. This reeks of draft chaff to me. Let's move on. Next up, we have Artillery Blast. It is a 1 and a white. It's got Domain. Artillery Blast deals X damage to target tapped creature, where X is 1 plus the number of basic land types among lands you control. This won't see play. No. I mean, Domain is cute and all, but just the fact that you have so many other effects that do exactly this ability without needing the Domain filter, no, it's not going to see play. You have Iganjo in the format right now, which does exactly this. You have my God, there was a card from New Capenna that did exactly this, and there was also one from Neon Dynasty that did exactly this without needing domains. Like there's every set gets like this card. So I don't see people playing that. Benalish Faith Bonder for looks like 1 and a white. You get a Human Cleric, 1/3 Vigilance and Enlist. It's draft chaff. It's nothing special. Captain's Call, 3 and a white sorcery. Create 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Okay, that's cute. Make some dudes. I mean, in a draft situation, you could probably pair that with the Argivian Phalanx from earlier. Make them 3 mana cheaper. Yeah, draft chaff still. Clockwork Drawbridge. Defender. It's a 0/3 for 1 white. So it's a wall. It's a defender. 2 and a white. Tap target creature. Okay. So it's a wall that is also a tap down creature. It's a master decoy. Only it costs a little bit more to activate. So it's not bad. Some people might try it in the in that 5-color walls deck that some people are talking about. I don't think I'll play it though. Destroy Evil. 1 and a white. Choose 1. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater, or destroy target enchantment. You know, also, just like Artillery Blast, this is a card that we see in almost every set, so nothing too special. It is nice that it has versatility and that it is instant. Not every option like this is instant. Some of them are sorcery. But yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. Destroy target enchantment or destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater. So yeah, it does things that white likes to do often. Moving on, we have Griffin Protector, 3 and white, flying for a 2/3. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Griffin Protector gets +1/+1 to on a turn. Okay, draft chaff. Heroic Charge. It's 2 and 2 white. It's an instant. It's got a kicker of 1 and a red, so pay 4 or pay 6. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until on a turn. If this spell was kicked, those creatures also gain trample. This card sucks. Yeah. There's no getting around it. I don't think anyone wants to pay 4 mana for +2/+1 on your dudes. 6 mana just to give them trample. You're probably going to see like exactly 1 or 2 of these in a draft deck. You're never going to see this in standard. Essence Scatter. 1 in a blue, counter target creature spell. It's a reprint, and it is a solid reprint, especially if you see your meta shifting towards aggro. This is a solid counter spell for the quick matchups. Might even run one of these in best of 1 on arena just cause. It's not bad. Haunting Figment. It's 1 and a white, or 1 and a blue, pardon me. For a creature illusion, 2/1 vigilance. Haunting Figment can't be blocked as long as you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. Honestly, this card should just read Haunting Figment can't be blocked. That's honestly how that card should read right now. This card's not going to be played. It is draft chaff. Honestly, in draft, you probably won't even be playing it unless you just like need extra creatures to round out your deck. You're not going to be seeing it played. This, however, is going to be seeing a lot of play. Impulse, 1 and a blue, instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. I don't know how many times over the years this card has been reprinted, but this is a card that I have personally wanted reprinted at many different times throughout like my standard career. And this card was originally printed all the way back in Visions, right after Mirage. So I played this card in almost every blue deck I built back when this card first came out, and I'm looking very forward to playing it again. This is a top shelf card. I love it. Pixie Illusionist. For 1 blue, you get a 1/1. It has a kicker of 3 and a green, so you can play it for 1 or for 5. Flying. If Pixie Illusionist was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn. Okay, so it kind of gives you like a little bit of mana fixing there. Now, so like if you need something different, you get that mana. Only problem is you got to tap this to make it happen. So you would end up tapping this just to change the color of another land. It's not ramp at all. It's just mana fixing, which can be useful in some like 5-color decks. Could be very useful in limited if you're going 3 or more colors. So it definitely has its uses. Shore Up, 1 blue, instant. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap it. Great. That's an awesome card. Great combat trick. Especially if you're playing something along the lines of like blue-green, where you got a lot of creatures that you want to keep on the board. This will be great for mono blue tempo if that's still a deck post rotation. I mean, and the fact that you get to untap it too, so you can beef up a dude and have a blocker. That's good. I like it. Yeah, good card. Soaring Drake, 2 and a blue for a 2/3 flyer. This is a reprint that you see coming around very often. Nothing more to say there. Tala's Lookout. For 2 and a blue, you get a 3/2 human pirate. It has flying. When Tala's Lookout dies, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Okay. The top 2 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand. Okay, yeah. So she kind of like gives you like a little bit of draw on death. Doesn't do anything on play though. I would personally prefer this to be an on play effect, but you can't get everything you like. And at the cost prohibitive cost of 2 and 2 blue, don't see this coming into standard anytime soon. This is more draft chaff, but decent draft chaff. Next up, we have the Tidepool Turtle. Great art on this. I like that a lot. It's a 3 and a blue for 2/5. Has the ability of 2 and a blue to scry 1. It's more draft chaff. Aggressive Sabotage. 2 and a black with a kicker of red. So 3 or 4 mana to cast this. Target player discards 2 cards. If this spell was kicked, it deals 3 damage to that. Do y'all remember Blightning? Because this is Blightning, but it just costs 1 more. Make an opponent discard 2 cards and deals 3 damage if kicked. I like it. I would like it more if it was just straight up Blightning rebuilt or reprinted. I mean, but that's solid. I like that a lot. That's good stuff. Moving on, we have Battle Rage Blessing. For 1 and a black, instant, target creature gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's a little bit different effect on the whole like fake death card that we get out of almost every set lately. But just the fact that you give it indestructible and death touch makes it a pretty interesting combat trick. You'll probably see it in limited, but I wouldn't play it in standard. Next up, we have Battlefly Swarm. It's a 1 black for a 1/1 flyer. Battlefly Swarm gains death touch for until end of turn if you pay black. It is what it is. It's more draft chaff. Bone Splinters. I think this is a reprint. It's a 1 black sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature, destroy target creature. Yes. Yeah, that's a definite reprint. This card has been reprinted a few times, I believe, but honestly, in the right deck, this is actually a very strong card. Like, especially like they're really going for the whole self-sacrifice mechanic in this set, so this is gonna fit in very nicely. Oh, and it's a common this time. I remember it being uncommon before. Anyways, moving on. Eerie Soul Tender. It's a Spirit Cleric for 2 and a black. It's a 3/1. When Eerie Soul Tender enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. So a little bit of self-mill. 4 and a black. Exile Eerie Soul Tender from your graveyard. Return another target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It sucks. For that cost, you should put it into play, not into your hand. That is way too expensive. Next up, we have the Jibbering Barricade. For 2 and a black, you get a Nightmare Wall. It's a 2/4 defender. Sacrifice a creature. You gain 1 life and draw a card. It's not bad. It's more draft chaff, though. Phyrexian Vivisector. That's an evocative name right there. For 1 and a black, you get a 2/2 creature, Phyrexian Human. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1. That has potential. It has potential because it is a passive effect. I like that a lot. Especially if you got a semi-competent tokens deck, like a black-green tokens deck. I can see that being very good. I like that a lot. Shadow Prophecy. For 2 and a black, instant, domain. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 2 of them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. You lose 2 life. At instant speed, this is actually really good. For the domain deck that wants to play this is actually a really good card. It's honestly even a little bit better than what is the name of that card? Memory Deluge. Yeah, Memory Deluge in blue. This is honestly a better version of that in the right deck. Not in any deck. Has to be the right deck. But yeah, it's pretty solid. I like it. Splatter Goblin. Oh god. All right, the name alone is telling me what this card's gonna do. Splatter Goblin is 1 and a black. It's a 2/1 Phyrexian Goblin. That's a creature type I haven't heard before. When Splatter Goblin dies, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Okay, it's all right. It's draft chaff. I mean, it's exactly that. It's just draft chaff. I mean, we are losing a very good version of this card that costs 1 less mana and gave treasure if you wanted it. Yeah, this is specifically for draft. Moving on, we have the Coalition Warbrute. For 4 mana, you get a 3/4 Minotaur Berserker with Enlist and Trample. Draft chaff. Moving on, Flowstone Infusion. For 1 red mana, instant, target creature gets +2/-2 until end of turn. That is a strict reprint from Tempest. Back way back in the day. Tempest and like the Tempest block introduced us to the Plane of Wrath, and that's where the material of Flowstone was introduced. And only reason I can think of that Flowstone is on Dominaria is because of the planar overlay that happened during the invasion cycle. So that would make a little bit more sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's why we have Flowstone on Dominaria. But honestly, for 1 red mana, that's a solid card. You can either get in for 2 extra damage, or effectively shock a unit. So not bad. Flowstone Kavu. It's a 2 and a red for a 2/3 menace. Flowstone Kavu gets +1/-1 until end of turn. Solid. Good draft card. Furious Bellow. 1 in red, instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Solid combat trick, especially if you want to save your creature. And then you get to scry 1, and scrying is never anything to scoff at. Scrying is my absolute favorite mechanic in all of Magic. It is just the best mechanic. G2 Amplifier. 1 in a red, 1/2. Kicker for 2 in a blue. When G2 Amplifier enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Okay, so you can bounce something. It's not bad. Creatures only, though. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, G2 Amplifier gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Draft. Scrap. I'm sorry. Goblin Picker. 1 in a red for a 2/2. 1 red, tap, discard a card, draw a card. Okay, it's Merfolk Looter, but it's red. Hammer Hand. That's a cool name. Hammer Hand. 1 red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Hammer Hand enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 in haste. It's all right. It's a draft card. For that kind of a mana investment and for that kind of effect, I'd rather just play Rabbit Battery. Honestly, the added benefit of making something not able to block this turn is cool, but there are better ways to go about that. Next up, we have Enthrall to the Pit. That is very cool. Like the name, the art, everything. It reminds me of like Lord of the Pit, like the old Pete Venters card from like way back in the day. So let's see what it does. 3 in a red with kicker, 2 in a black. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. If the spell was kicked, sacrifice that creature at the beginning of the next end step. Okay, so here's the thing about this. Thematically, it's a great card. Mechanically, it's a garbage dumpster fire card. Don't play this ever. It costs too much. First up, it costs 4 when it should cost 3. Because every other threaten effect costs 3 unless it's like giving you like a crazy effect. The kicker is too damn expensive as well. No one's going to pay 7 mana to steal something and sacrifice it when you can pay 3 mana to threaten a creature and then sacrifice it through like some other means that doesn't have a huge mana cost attached to it. This card is a draft card. That's all there is to it. It's unfortunate. I was hoping for better out of such a like thematically cool card. Moving on. Keldon Strike Team. 2 in a red, creature, human warrior, 3/1. With a kicker of 1 and a white. So this is Boros colors. When Keldon Strike Team enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. As long as Keldon Strike Team enter the battlefield this turn, creatures you control have haste. Okay, cool. So if you kick it when you play this card, you can get 2 extra boys that will also attack this turn. So this could be decent in a deck that also plays God, what's that card? Card names are evading me tonight. But it was a star 4 vigilance white creature that gets stronger for every white creature that you play. And whenever you attack, you create a 1/1 white token. Can't remember the name of the card, but it's played in Boros right now. So like this could be useful for that. Honestly though, the mana investment's a little too high. If you're paying 5 mana, you better be getting a lot more value. At least in Boros. Moving on. Marius Outrider. 4 colorless, 1 red for a 4/4 elf archer with reach. Domain. When Marius Outrider enters the battlefield, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Okay, that's a cool card. It's a draft card, of course. I don't like that it only goes face. It would be a lot better if it had the opportunity to go to the creature as well. But it's a draft card. Moving on. Barkweave Crusher. 3 colorless, 1 green. It's a creature. It's an element. It's a warrior. It's a 2/5 in list. It's draft chaff. Moving on. Bite Down. 1 and a green. Instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power. Okay, so it doesn't fight. It just chomps. I like it. A lot of other cards with this same effect. Not all of them will allow you to fight creatures or planeswalkers. I mean, but yeah, it's a decent card. Instant speed, bite a boy, good stuff. Broken Wings, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. We've seen this card many times before. It is a good card. Moving on, Deathbloom Gardener. 2 and a green, 1/1 Death Touch, and tap to add a mana of any color. It is too expensive for what it does. Draft Chaff. Moving on, Elfhame Worm. It's a 4 and a green for a Vigilance Trample 5/4. Draft Chaff once again. Floriferous Vine Wall. For 1 and a green, you get a creature plant wall. Defender 0/2. Okay, finally we have some text. When Floriferous Vine Wall enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, it gives you a little bit of not ramp but mana finding. Ensures that you don't miss your next land drop. Yeah, it's not bad. It would suck to to whiff on looking at 6 cards though. I'm pretty sure that's why this card digs so deep. Not bad. Hex Bane Tortoise. For 2 and a green, you have a creature turtle. It's a 3/2. It's ward 2. It's enlist. It's Draft Chaff. Next up, we have the Lana War Stalker. For 1 green, you get a 1/1 Elf Warrior. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Lana War Stalker gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's garbage. Meteorite, 5 colorless artifact. When Meteorite enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. This card is hot garbage. Having the ability to deal 2 damage is fun, but it costs 5. If this costs 3, then we could talk. Moving on, Salvaged Mana Worker. It is a 2 mana construct. It's a 1/3. For 1 colorless, you can add 1 mana of any color, activate only once each turn. Again, it's Draft Chaff, but it is mana fixing, so you may end up seeing this in draft at least. Vanquisher's Axe. For 1 colorless mana, you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. And equip 2. That's it. Very basic. Moving on, Crystal Grotto. Beautiful art on that. I like that a lot. Very nice. Is a land. When Crystal Grotto enters the battlefield, scry 1. Okay. So scry is good. You can tap it to add a colorless, or 1 and tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. It's a mana fixing land. It's a mana fixing land. It scries, and it helps you a little. And you can tap it for colorless as well. So it's not completely terrible. Yeah, I think it's playable, honestly. Probably playable in as like a 1 or 2 of it in domain. Definitely playable in a draft deck that wants to mana fix. Next up, we have probably another one of the highlights of this set is all of the dual lands, because each of these, yes, they come into play tapped, but they are they count as findables. Well, if you say like you crack one of like the Triumph cards that goes and searches up like a plains, an island, or a swamp, you can get like say like this one right here, the Contaminated Aquifer. You can get either the island or the swamp. You can get Haunted Mire, Swamp or Forest. Like it allows you to search these non-basics up instead of just regular basics that can only give you 1 mana. So I'm very glad they gave us these style of cards, especially when you have cards like Evolving Wilds always in standard. We have the new Hideout lands from the Streets of New Capenna. It's like, it's good stuff. I like seeing this. This makes me very happy. And it looks like there's one for every color combination, which makes me even better. Then we have a Showcase Ertay Resurrected card. We got some extended arts. Okay, and yeah, then it goes into Commander, but we won't talk about Commander because that's not what I like to focus on. So yeah, there we go. That is the last of the cards, and with that, that is every card in Dominaria United spoiled. We now know all the cards, and so next thing to do is to start brewing and start thinking about what we're going to be playing next month. Honestly, in a week from now, because we're recording this on the 27th of August. So, in honestly, just another week, we're all going to be playing this stuff anyways. I believe Arena even gets it earlier than in paper because we get to play with it on the first, I believe. But yeah, for me personally, what I'm most excited for is Ertay Resurrected. Sheldred, Braids, Liliana for sure. Ertay's Scorn is gonna be good. I'll definitely be playing my future-proofed Esper control deck because I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's still a very good deck. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna be going for moving forward. If you ever catch me streaming or just playing games in general, I'll most likely be playing that. So, anyways, that's what I'm personally looking forward to. I'd love to know what kind of cards you are personally interested in. Like, what colors are you excited to play? Are you gonna go full domain? Are you going to stick to like a 2 or 3 color combination? What's got your deck building noodle going? Let me know about it in the comments. But as for now, that's it. I'll catch you next time.